As you get ready to write a book, is it easier now once you've won an award, or is it still as hard as it is prior to the award?
It doesn't get easier. The first book that I wrote, which was called Drawing Dead, was really difficult, and I thought it was going to get easier after that, and it really hasn't. I mean, some aspects of it have. The main thing that's gotten easier is I've got a lot more faith in myself. When I first started, I didn't know if I could finish a book. I didn't know if the book would be any good. I didn't know if people would find it amusing or distracting. I didn't know how it would be received. Now I have a reasonable expectation that if I start a book, I'm going to be able to finish it, and it's going to get read. It might not be liked, but because I have, something of a profile now as an author, it's going to get read and looked at and paid a little bit of attention to, and so that's very nice. But the actual writing process, pretty much as hard as it ever was.
The kids read a book called Rash. You want to talk a little bit about Rash?
Well, Rash is a book set in the year 2074 in the United Safer States of America. And it's sort of a allegory, sort of a social commentary, and sort of a crystal ball look into the future. It's a future where the United States has become very, very, very safe. And I imagined a sort of absurd, safer future. Football has been made illegal. French fries are illegal. People wear walking helmets. Cars have to drive themselves. Classroom walls are padded. And I was trying to imagine kind of an absurdist future. But really, as I was writing it, I found that, it might not be that absurd, because if you went back to 1960 and told someone that they couldn't smoke in a restaurant, well, they thought you were crazy. And if you told a kid that they had to wear a bike helmet, they'd think you were out of your mind. And if you went to the airport to get on an airplane and they said, we're going to have to put you through a body imaging thing, and you can't bring any fluid in more than a 2-ounce bottle, and you can't bring your pocket knife on board, people would have thought that was completely insane. So I was thinking about how much things have changed in our perception of acceptable risk over the past 50 years, and I just wanted to go, where's it going to go? Where does it stop? When do we stop making ourselves safer? Every year students in high schools are permanently injured playing football, and we say that's acceptable because the benefits of football, the physical conditioning, the learning teamwork, the discipline, and so forth, are considered benefits that make a certain amount of collateral damage acceptable today. Well, in 1880, they thought that it was acceptable to play football with no protective equipment whatsoever. And what's football going to look like if it even exists in the year 2074? I don't know. So it's a look into that future.
Where do your ideas come from as you're driving down the road and all of a sudden an idea smacks you in the forehead and you say, boy, am I right about that? Or that's always puzzled me, and I love to read. And you wonder, how in the world do they come up with Rash, that concept?
Yeah, well, Rash came out of Godless, because Godless, I had to do some research about water towers when I was writing it. So I talked to the guy in charge of the water tower in the city where I grew up, and he told me how many gallons it held and how high it was and so forth. And I asked him if he still had a problem with kids climbing up the water tower, like we used to do when I was in high school. And he said, no, we had a kid up there for 15 years. And I said, really? Why? He said, well, we didn't do anything different. They could still get up, but they're more, they're doing video games. They have very programmed lives outside of school. They don't run free like we did. He says, how old are you? I said, 50, which I was at the time. And he said, well, I'm 52. He says, you ever hop trains when you were a kid? And I said, yeah, sometimes. You ever hitchhike? And I go, yeah, that's how I got around. Did you wear a bike helmet? No. He said, different world. Kids aren't doing that climbing thing anymore. And so that got me thinking about rash. That's what got me started on it.
Is there a process that you go through when you come up with a title for a book?
Yeah, sometimes very painful. Sometimes I know what I want to call a book. I knew I wanted to call it Godless Godless from the very beginning, because I was thinking of myself as a 15-year-old, and as a 15-year-old I had a lot of questions about religion, and a book called Godless would have gotten me from across the room. I would have wanted to know, what is that about? It's a different look at the God concept and religion. It would have pulled me in. So I wanted the book to serve readers like the kid that I was. And rash, I pretty much knew right away, although as soon as I saw the first copy of the book, I thought, you know what, I should have called that book 2084. Might have been a little presumptuous to have done so, but...